Boy, if I could be a crystal ball person, this would be great because I said once it goes red in the corner, we're going to roll, and sure enough, it went red in the corner, so we're rolling. So my name is Jason Weiss. You are here on the Ask Jason Weiss show. We are streaming on network.com, home of Going Bold, Going Solo, and so many other wonderful things, especially my show, the Ask Jason Weiss show. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, good everything to everybody. I am Jason Weiss. I happen to be a practicing attorney, but I am also a coach and a consultant. Although I am here and live streaming, nothing I say is legal advice today. It is all not opinion. It's all just good conversation, good entertainment, good dialogue back and forth. Should you seek legal advice or financial advice, consult an attorney directly. There is no attorney-client privilege here. Do not rely upon anything I say. So with that all being said and done, the one thing that you should rely upon is that I would like to introduce my guest for today, Chris Cousins. So Chris is a friend, a client, a colleague. We're involved in business things together. We both have similar hobbies, and he's just an all-around great guy. The negative is he is an Ohio State fan. He got his to-do. He got his win. I'm a Gators, a Canes fan, so, we just say boo Ohio State, or we say Ohio who. But anyway, putting that aside, Chris, it's great to have you here at the show, and we're going to talk a little bit about you being an up-and-coming entrepreneur. I mean, that's the only way to put it because you're a young guy, and how you put people together. You're kind of like the chewing gum that sticks in the hair and you get everybody clumped together, and you're working with a company called Shipped, with a T, ShiptQuick. So without any further ado, the Ohio boy stuck here in 55-degree weather in South Florida, hence the sweatshirt, Chris Cousins.
I appreciate the intro. It's a lot to live up to after winning a national championship on Monday, going to the show on Thursday, but I'll try to do my best for you.
So this is the show. Like when they were going ahead and interviewing some of the Ohio State players after the game, they're like, you just won the national championship. What are you going to do? And they're going to be like, we want to be like Chris Cousins and get on the Ask Jason Weiss show. So any of you Ohio State men, women, lady, gentlemen, male, female, whatever it is that was involved with the team, you want to be on the show, we'll get you on. But you got to say, Chris Cousins told me to reach out. So
that's right.
There it is. And that's one of the things and one of the reasons why I have Chris on the show, because he is a younger gentleman. That's the way to put it. I'm not going to say he's a kid, but he's young. And what I love about it is he doesn't let that stand in his way. He gets out there. He gets in front of people that have net worths of millions and billions of dollars. He has no fear. He does his homework. He does his research. And it's just awesome as like he's the connector, right? You want to meet somebody who's selling, high-end soil so that you could grow your mangoes and your avocados and all that. I got a company. And it's like, damn, like that's the younger version of me. I got a guy, right? I own that website, by the way. IGotAGuy.com is Chris.
Well, now I know who I need to come broker the deal with, or maybe we can do some co-marketing.
There you go. So in it, we're calling this the show. We're calling it ShiptQuick, right? So for all of you that are looking, no, it's not a typo. That's the way it's supposed to be spelled. But tell us a little bit about what Ship with a T Quick really is.
Yeah, we tried to be punny over there. So it's my freshman year roommate and teammate in college. His name's Paul Garcia. We played lacrosse together at Bellarmine University. And him and his wife own their own e-commerce brand. It's basically like an organic miracle grow called Bug Hut. It's operated out of Kylie is his wife. She's the third generation farmer. So it's a 120,000 square foot family owned and operated warehouse that her father's business is, and what really her family's grown off of has grown into in the warehouse. And they had some square footage that was not being used. And Paul calls me one day and he says, hey, with your background, I did international procurement at Aldi and did a lot of local supply chain, some tech rollouts, and worked at a couple tech companies. It's like, I think we could kind of mesh our backgrounds together and find where those gaps are, that there's a big disconnect within the e-commerce logistics world where you have brand owners selling really cool products. They understand who they're selling to, but they don't have millions of dollars to buy a warehouse. Brick and mortar stores, unless you're going to a huge mall, it's super expensive. You're not wanting to pay $20,000 or $30,000 a month just in rent, and then you got the bill adding up. So e-commerce is huge. We're basically that storefront that you don't see. I always tell people, think of like an apartment complex, and you're a brand owner. You get your apartment, you want a 2 or 3 bedroom. That's great. It's going to cost you more. Well, if we have a cleaning crew coming in to take care of your apartment, we're charging you for it. So what we do is we store all your products from manufacturers. When orders come in, no matter what you're selling on, we're omni-channel. So it could be Shopify, WooCommerce, Amazon. It streams right into our software, and it tells our warehouse employees what to put in the order and who to send it out to. And that's essentially, in a nutshell, who we are.
So you're not really a fulfillment center, right? Because that's not your, like, we're just going to use example, right? I have a pair of glasses here, right? Awesome glasses, reading glasses, whatever it is. And I want to sell my reading glasses. So there's 2 ways of doing this, right? Every time someone orders it, I have to manufacture a pair of reading glasses and ship them out, right? But there's a cost to that because each time I manufacture these glasses, it's $7, but if I do it in bulk, it's $4. But if I do it in bulk at $4, then I have to store them and I have to put them in all of this. So are you basically like an off-site storage facility? Is that basically?
We do both. So we'll store products. We don't like being long-term storage. So if
Okay.
you're ordering 5 or 6 shipping containers and you just want 800 pallets sitting in a warehouse, we're really not looking for that type of business. We do the fulfillment as well. And that's really where our bread and butter is. So if you send your products to us, each one of your products gets its own little bin, its own little SKU, and it's mapped to our software. So when the orders come in, our software tells our physical employees in the warehouse the most efficient place to walk in the warehouse to pack all the orders. They can do about 20 to 30 at a time. And it's like playing Tetris, really. With they have iPads that they walk around the warehouse with, and then we'll slap a shipping label right on it. And depending on how fast you want to get it to your client or what they paid for, it'll ship. And we have a ship aggregator, which is great for us. Essentially, what that does is it live rate shops multiple different carriers from United Postal Service, UPS, FedEx. So real-time visibility for our brand users so they can actually see what they're paying. That was a big frustration and a really big gap within the industry that we had noticed as brand owners that wasn't really visible. And especially if you're an e-commerce brand owner out there, your margins are super thin to begin with, and that volatility, you really can't absorb it.
It's funny because like you go on some of these websites and it's like, the glasses are $4.99, but it's $7.99 shipping and handling. Wait, $7.99 shipping and handling for this? By the way, these glasses, Amazon fine, 5 pairs, $15. Phenomenal. I think I've ordered 25 pairs and I think I've broken maybe 2 and I've lost all the rest. So I still have like 4 pairs floating around here. So I will be ordering more. I just can't keep track. I break and my favorite is when it's like this. I can't find my glasses. Where are they? So
that's how I feel with these small little all the Bluetooth headsets that are out now. You have one or you don't have one, or you lose the case. They fall all over the place.
I have 1, 2, 3. I have 4 pairs of iPad earbuds floating around. So anybody who has a product that doesn't have room to store it in their house, and it's not a create on demand like a Printful type, like with T-shirts. That's what you do, right? So you will warehouse it for them, but not be a storage unit, and you will help them fulfill the orders.
Yep. And it's great for us right now. We can do a wide variety of different brands. We just got our FDA approval for food. So we don't want to do a lot of food storage. It was mostly for supplements. And there's a lot of different extracts like olive oils that are coming over from Europe that have great health benefits. Some of them are tied to NFL teams where the whole teams are buying just cases of these olive oils, but we still need to meet food regulation guidelines for that. Generally speaking, we're looking for hard goods that don't need product rotation, so it doesn't have an expiration date, and we can just sit in the storage. And then when it sends or gets ordered, we can send out. We don't like really fragile things. It's a big warehouse, 120,000 square feet. If you're shipping glass type of products, probably not going to be the best fit for us. We have a lot of apparel brands. So we actually just had Sky Dolls. It's kind of like a Lululemon competitor. It's a leisure wear for women that are 5'10" and above, because their torsos are so much longer. Most designs for jeans, they aren't cut to be able to fit their bodies. So I guess she's 22 now, Taya. She launched the brand when she was in college, and actually was so successful that she left college, and she just continues to boom the business. She just had a product launch about 10 minutes ago. So we have orders just flowing in left and right now for the warehouse. It's so fun watching people work hard for their dreams, make mistakes, be there to support them, because everyone makes mistakes in their journey, and then see the success along the path. So it's really cool. Shout out to Taya. If you ever see this, we're proud of you.
Yeah, so let's give a shout out to Taya. Taya, shout out. And what's the name of the company so that we can all look? So if you're a woman that's 5'10" or taller, this might be something that's great for you. So what's the name of that company?
It's going to be called Sky Dolls, SKYDOLLS.
So you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Sky Dolls. For unfortunately, it didn't pop up well on the thing. So, but what we'll do is we'll do skydolls.com and check it out, and leave a great review saying that Chris Cousins recommended it, so that'll look good. And that, look, this wasn't scripted at all. I knew nothing about Sky Dolls. I knew nothing about it, but this is how Chris operates, and this is what I wanted to get across to people and have on the show. Right? He just plugged something. Yes, it might make his company a couple dollars because they're selling it and doing whatever, but in reality, all he's really doing is plugging Sky Dolls and plugging a friend and making that. And then when hopefully somebody, calls them up and acquires them, Old Navy, Banana Republic, one of those, and she's a multi-billionaire, she'll turn around and say to Chris, hey, I need you to handle all the logistics. And that's how I feel Chris runs his life. He doesn't run his life as, what can you do for me now? Chris and I are gardeners. And we like to plant the seeds. You plant the seed, and look, if it's a sunflower, in 2 days, you're going to already have stuff coming out of the ground. In 4 days, it's going to be there. In weeks, you're going to go ahead and you're going to have a finished product. You go ahead and you use peppers, and in 4 or 5 weeks, that's when you're going to start seeing the sprout. So each seed is different, and each person is different, and I think Chris gets to see that firsthand. So you've got ShiptQuick. What are some other fun projects you're involved in these days, or opportunities that you're hoping turn into something good?
Yeah, I think that AI is the future of a lot of things, and we also work together through One Wave AI, and I tie that in a lot with ShiptQuick. Really, I mean, essentially, AI is another college roommate, teammate, and we were in similar roles in startup companies. I had venture capital money, and they didn't. They were bootstrapping, but either way, we both had limited budgets. I was 2.5xing the size of the company by myself, really. It didn't have a lot of support, so I needed to streamline a lot of what I was doing. So I started using AI 3.5, 4 years ago. Met up with my other teammate, and we're just like, oh my gosh, I think these things kind of start automating a lot of what the market's seeing now is AI agents and bots. So we're, knock on wood, hopefully a little bit ahead of that, maybe 4 or 5 months ahead of that with what we're doing on the back end. But those are some of the things now I'm starting to implement into ShiptQuick, which it's a win-win. It's a dream come true to work hard, in my opinion, with some of your best friends, guys that you grew up with. And really, for lack of better terms, I know sports are sports, but you learn a lot in that locker room, and you go through a lot together. And it's usually through times that a lot changes in your life. You mature a lot, lots of things and experiences happen for the first time. So it's cool to have people that you can work with, make money with, and know at the end of the day, they're going to love and care and trust for your best outcome no matter what. Because at the end of the day, tough conversations come up in every relationship, in every business. And when you have that bond, I think it makes it way easier to be successful.
Yeah, and it's funny because, after I got out of law school and started doing some work with clients, our thing was always, look, we're all going to get rich together. We're all going to drive matching Ferraris. We're all going to, take our families on vacation together and all that kind of stuff. And yes, not the matching Ferraris, but taking families on vacations together. I've done that. And, going to concerts and shows and dance recitals. We've done all that. But it's good to, have like-minded people and similar people and people that you really just get along with on a social level, be in business with, right? Look, you could get along with people and have wonderful business, and they could be just like you, nothing like you, and it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, in your spare time, you're probably still thinking about business. And at the same time, you want to be with people you like. So when you find that, you're lucky. And I think it was at the end of the Italian Job where, what's his face? Oh, shoot. What's his name? The actor, Marky Marks, but he's not Marky Marks. Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg's character says at the end, he's like, find somebody and don't let them go. So that's kind of like what you did. Let's go back real quick. We were talking about, shipping and business and all of this and supply and demand and all of that. We're not going to get into politics by any means. However, based on a new change of office and new things coming down, how do you see that affecting shipping, supply chain, manufacturing? If you do, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that Section 321. Well, let's start with anytime administration changes over. There's good changes and bad changes, and I'm not going to be the decider of what's good and bad. Opinion's opinion. But within my industry, tariffs are going to be a very large thing that are going to potentially positively or negatively impact different markets like apparel. A lot of apparel textiles are done out of China, which has tariffs coming. We don't know when. So we'll have to figure out where different manufacturing sites need to happen. I think it's going to take personally a little bit longer to get some of the apparel moved out of China to different markets, just because if you have 20, 30 years of expertise and experience in something, you're going to be the expert. The good thing is, though, there's a counters to balances. We have a surplus of polymers in the United States, which is plastics. And there's a lot of goods and materials that are plastic based. So when some people, in my opinion, think that we're losing a lot of jobs or inflation is going to go up, I think we're actually able to gain a lot of jobs in other areas. I'm from the Midwest. There's a ton of factory towns that I've seen shut down, automotive factories shut down. My father, he was from Canton, Ohio. Timken factory was right there. Second, third shift was basically 2/3 of my family out of that town. So I get what it's like in the factory towns. And I think there's a lot of good change that can also come with it. And I think with how technology is evolving, we can actually make things much more cost effective now on the manufacturing side to offset what labor costs traditionally were really high in the United States. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're in for a big thing. I mean, yesterday at 5:00, thousands of federal government employees were told to work from home. And these are all the employees that were involved in DEI. They were told to work from home because we do not know yet what is going to happen with it. But the thing that I found a little bit telling from you go work at home is we're also cutting off your email access. So, how can you work from home without email? I don't know how that works. So, my friendly suggestion to those individuals that suffered from that is to probably get your resume up to speed and start taking some online refresher courses or figure out a side hustle. But I do wish those individuals the best and hope that I am wrong and my being overly sensitive to that subject is completely out of line. But we will see. I mean, otherwise, you can get into some of the things having to do with shipping, having to do with manufacturing, and having to do with everything else. Because all we heard about post-COVID is supply chain issues. And now what we're hearing is that borders are going to be closed, tariffs are going to be imposed, and people may not want to do business in the U.S. And if they are, the prices are going to go up. So maybe the price of egg will go down, eggs. But, my $5 glasses $3 glasses, excuse me, because they're 15 for $5, right? So that's my math, $3 glasses. Those might become $7.
Yeah, and I think that life is just this choice of or a set of choices and deciding your perspective on it. And you can choose to be bitter and affected by something that's coming your way, or understand it's coming regardless and get motivated by it and figure out, how can I react? Because Jason, you know me on a personal level, I've gone through a lot of things in the last 12 to 18 months, and a lot of my friends and family are just amazed with the difference in 12 or 18 months makes. But I chose to be motivated by something instead of being bitter. And I can tell you it was one of the best choices I've ever made in my life. So don't let the other people and choices impact you. Find what's passionate, believe in yourself, and invest in yourself every day. And it's going to do a lot more than what other people could do for you. You need your connections eventually, but people don't connect with ones that they don't believe in. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to get a lot of those connections.
And that's like an amazing philosophy, an amazing way to see things. And look, he lives it and not only speaks it. And I can attest to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to break for 30 seconds. We're going to let one of our sponsors run a quick ad so we can say thank you to that wonderful sponsor. And then we're going to be back, and we are going to talk a little bit more about that. You only get better when you fail. And we're not going to get into your specific, wins, losses, and everything else, but just your mindset during it, because I think that's huge. So let's roll with our commercial, and then we'll get back on and we'll talk about more, pounding through adversity. So like I said, we are back. I am Ask Jason Weiss. I am your host on the Ask Jason Weiss show. I am an attorney, a coach, a consultant, and a best-selling author of Shit They Never Taught You in Law School. And for those of you that are listening in real time, I just want to let you know that I just finished the sequel to the book. And it is being read by one or two close people to me. And I'm having the foreword written. And before you know it, it will be number one on your summer reading list, because you will need to read it in order to go to law school. So everything I say today, although I'm an attorney, don't listen, right? There's no attorney-client privilege here. This is not legal advice. Nothing here is. Should you need an attorney, should you want to hire me, reach out to me directly. But otherwise, nothing I say here is legal advice. And do not listen to anything we say other than this is for just pure enjoyment and entertainment purposes. So I have with me still Chris Cousins. And one of the things that we were talking about is how he and I are farmers. We plant seeds, we watch them grow. And Chris has been through the ups, the downs, the sideways, the ins, the outs, the up, the down, the forwards, backwards, and everything, over the past 12 to 18 months. And I've had on the show before a guest, Mark Noodleberg, and Mark, one of the things that he talks about is, you learn from your failures, right? If everything is just going along smooth, everything is great, you make no changes. But the second you hear that bump, or you see that divot, or you go like this, or you go like that, or you go, that's when all of a sudden you got to go, I got to make a change. So I know looking back, you were like, man, how did I get through it? But I'm so glad I'm here. But, how did you deal with the adversity in the moment? Like, think of something that just didn't go your way, right? And how'd you deal with it in that moment? For people that are, like me, that, we have ups and downs all the time. How'd you deal with it?
Yeah, I think that for me, it was just being maybe a little bit stubborn with myself, but really truly believing that if I had worked, however long you've worked, 5, 10, 15 years for other people telling you what to do, how to do it and be successful, and whether you were successful or not at those roles, I felt like at a certain point, I need to see if I was disciplined enough to be able to kind of kick my butt into motion. And it wasn't work stuff I'm talking about. It was simple things that I was making excuses for in my life not to do. I'm sure everyone's seen the Navy SEAL speech about making your bed at the graduation of the Naval Academy, right? It's like one of the most disciplined things. That was literally one of the videos that I saw like 10 years ago or whenever the speech was. I was like, I think I'm successful. Like I have a good paying job out of college and a master's degree, but I can't even make my bed. And then I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't eating healthy. It was just these little choices and habits that add up over time. And at some point I just took a 20,000 foot step back and being like, how can I expect myself to succeed at a really challenging thing, at going out and working for myself or doing anything in my life if I can't even do simple things for myself that I know are good for myself? So I started making my bed every day. I started doing walking while I was doing work in the morning. So I was audio recording tasks I was doing, reading. I struggled with educating myself outside of school and work. So I started doing audiobooks with Audible. And when I started getting distracted, I got an iPad and I'd have to take notes for half of it if it was an important thing, and I'd go back. So it was just building successful habits over the course of a couple of years that finally gave myself enough supporting and footing. And when everything got wiped out from under me, it was right back to the basics. It's like if you don't have income coming in, you don't know when you're getting paid next, you have bills coming in, you have all these things. You just need to stay focused and find that guiding light. And for me, it was waking up, getting a workout in, even though it was free. I got a job at a gym. I knew I wasn't going to be making money, but if I wanted to surround myself around habits and I wasn't going to have money to go out and have fun, do things I wanted to do, I should at least surround myself around people that built their lives around being healthy, good lifestyles that reduces your health insurance. It's a long list. So
Yeah.
I just forced myself into successful habits to the point where I feel like every day now, it's not even me thinking about it. It's stuff that enjoys me. It gets me excited. I'm happy to do it. I coach lacrosse on the side, and I try to teach little third and fourth graders the exact same habits and skill sets that I think are lost on a lot of people. You always want end results. People always tell you why you can't do things, but people don't tell you how to get yourself there and how to be successful. And usually when they do, it's the 3-step, 30-second, it's going to work in 2 weeks type of thing. It's not, hey, this takes 3 or 4 years. And for me, it probably took 5 or 6 years.
And look, one of the things I didn't know about that, you got a job at a gym so you could go work out for free and be around people and all that kind of stuff. Look, I had friends that they were attorneys like me, and they got laid off from, big places and big firms, and they had no jobs. And I heard, woe is me, I'm not working. And my response would have been like, and I had this conversation with my wife. I was like, look, I'd rather go make $10, $15, $20 an hour at Home Depot or Lowe's in the garden department, bringing in something instead of sitting around like this saying, woe is me. And that was the important thing. And you get out there and you do it. And I tell attorneys all the time that say to me, hey, look, I want to start my own firm, or I want my own book of business, or I want my own client base. Like, how do I do it? And it's simple, right? Go do something you like. They're like, well, I go to these marketing events, and okay, do you like those? No, I hate them. Then why are you going to them? Because I have to meet people. I'm like, so you're going to half-ass it at an event where you really don't want to be because you're not interested and you think it's going to work. Let me know how that works out for you. It's not going to work out for you. So what do I do? What do I do? And I use the example of what I did, right? Which was I joined an adult kickball league. I was called the WACA, the World Adult Kickball Association. It got me exercise one night a week. It got me out there. I joined a team with a couple of buddies that I knew. And, afterwards, and this is where I was guilty of not taking full advantage, they would go to the bar that sponsored the league, and they would have drinks and they would eat and do all this. And I was married, I had kids and all that kind of stuff. But I did get to meet people at the fields, occasionally at the bar. And before you knew it, I met a guy that started buying Subway franchises. I met a woman who was starting up like a cosmetics company, and I met 2 or 3 other people. And guess what? They were clients of mine, and it was all because I went out and played kickball, and something I enjoyed. Right? I did Habitat for Humanity and all of that because I like that kind of stuff. But going to a round table for a lunch and learn wasn't for me, right? I'd sit there. I didn't eat half the food anyway. I didn't want to be there. My phone was going off, so I don't go anymore. And admittedly, I've been to 1 or 2 events in the past 6 months where I didn't really show up. I showed up. I was there. I did, but I didn't show up. And shame on me. And If you are the person who hosted something and you know who it is, give me one more shot, because I'm going to come and I'm going to use I'll get 1% better every single day. And by the time you have your next event, I'll be 90% better and it'll be good. But again, I saw that in myself. I was able to say, you know what, I'm here. This wasn't for me. And I don't have the answer. Would it have been better to just take a rain check and come up with an excuse that it was so busy, or tell the truth and say, look, I'm not into it? Or do you go and do you power through? And I should have powered through instead of just coasting through. And that's on me.
You know, it's funny. I'm smiling because I relate to it so much. It's not even 18 hours past what happened. I was at a trade show yesterday in Fort Lauderdale for one of our clients at ShiptQuick. And it was an international plant show. And it's, you know, I've been to a lot of tech shows and you see the marketing materials, but it was the most aesthetically pleasing shows I've ever been to. Huge botanical build outs with grow houses, and all the commercial growers had their plants there. And there was hard goods and tools. And I was walking around for 4 or 5 hours. You get tired at a trade show. I probably went 5 or 6 miles. Who knows? I talk a million miles an hour, as you know. So my throat was it was shot. The nasty rainy day. Everyone's probably laughing if you're not in Fort Lauderdale in southern Florida, but it's very unseasonably cold. And it was one of those days where you just want to get a bowl of soup and just fall asleep at like 7:30. And I know through networking a commercial pilot. He works for United or American Airlines, one of the big ones. He meets a guy that he's selling over 2 million parcels a year for like our ideal perfect fit for our ShiptQuick business. And he calls me and goes, hey, he's coming over at 8 o'clock tonight. Can you make it? I'm like, oh man, I'm already at like 14 hours for the day. But I was like, how many times do you get a shot to meet the guy that started a company that's selling 2 million packages a year? And for frame of reference, I mean, that you're talking like a $5 or $6 million a year in revenue type of account for a business. And I was like, I don't care if I'm tired. I was like, I work for myself, and would I be happy waking up with 8 hours of sleep tomorrow morning, knowing I could have met a guy that could potentially change the trajectory of anything? And even if I get a no, he built it from scratch himself. That's another person in my network to know. You always can get a no right away, but my mom told me patience is the virtue, Christopher Matthew, and I like to run through a brick wall, so I'll probably get 15 no's, but it could be a yes sometime. And usually when something hits the fan, I like to be the person that can connect someone, because if I can make 60, 70, 80% of my conversations with people revenue producing for them or for me, a lot of wins tack up over a lot of time.
Is that why you started playing lacrosse? You put on the helmet and the pads and you went through the walls? Is that what it was?
There was a lot of frustration that I had to get out, and that was the only the legal way within lacrosse to be able to hit people really hard.
Yep, I could see that. Again, my son's a bruiser, so I get it. I understand it. But that is something that we all need to internally reflect on, right? I can't say to Chris, and I'm glad, he was able to do it on his own. Look, you got to rally through. You got to, man up. You got to woman up. You got to, get up there, put on your big boy pants and go do this, right? You did it for you. And when you do it for you and you're the reason behind it, you will be successful. Look, my son, his freshman year of high school, after that, he wasn't going to the gym and working out after games, and he was doing what he needed to do for the team, but nothing outside. And then all of a sudden, his sophomore year, he picked it up. He was going to school early. He was working out. He was eating right. He was lifting. He was running. He was doing all this. Then he got a driver's license. He goes to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like, he gets home from the gym and is showered, and I'm still in bed. So more power to him. And he's gotten my daughter, when she doesn't have practice and stuff, she's getting up too. And she's doing that. It wasn't me saying to either one of them, hey, get up and go to the gym and go work out, right? No, I gave up on that. This is them doing it. And Logan, if you're listening, anytime you want to show up with, a hot cup of chocolate or coffee on your way home from the gym, you're more than welcome to it. I'm paying the gas. No, I'm kidding. I do intermittent fasting, so I can't eat until 11 o'clock anyway. But again, the whole point behind it is I've seen it as an outsider looking in, because he's his own motivation, not Dad's telling me to practice. No, this is, hey, I'm going to practice. Hey, I'm going to run. Hey, I'm going to work out. And that's just like what you just did. I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to do it. Because you surely could have said, you know what, I've been working 14 hours, I'm tired, I'm good. And you didn't. And look, me going to that event, driving an hour, not enjoying myself because of whatever reason it was, and it was on me, and then driving home an hour, that was 3.5, 4 hours of time that could have been spent better. And I should have rallied and said to myself, you know what, I'm going to step outside for 5 minutes, get a breath of fresh air, come back, and let's rock. And I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to make it really clear, because you and I are both from the same school of thought. I don't do that all the time. Like, I am very selfish with my personal time. When it's family time, when it's Chris time, I disconnect, because if I don't, I've done that. I've done the burnout phase. I've done the completely miserable part of life. You need to be selfish with your own times, and you just need to be able to recognize it. And I catch myself sometimes. I'll get out of a 45-minute call and I'll just be like sitting and staring at a screen. And I'm like, I couldn't even regurgitate what just happened in the last 15 or 20 minutes. And for me, I'm like, that's a sign for me to, hey, disconnect, go out, reset the clock, go walk for 20 or 30 minutes, go get something to eat.
And look, and I have a whole chapter on that on the sequel to the book that's going to be coming out. Not the first one. Go read the first one so the second one will make sense. But in the sequel, I talk about that, right? One of the tips that I learned from a company that I do work with is 25-minute meetings. Or if it's got to be an hour meeting, it's 50 minutes. Why? Because that gives you the 5 minutes of time to do over. That also gives you 5 minutes of time to run down the hall, use the restroom, reset for yourself, respond to emails. That's important stuff. And I know, look, I get distracted all the time. I'm sitting here and I'm on the show and all this. And in my mind, I'm probably saying, how many emails did I miss? What do I got to do? Oh, snap, I got to forward this. And I take notes and I do whatever. But one of the important things you talked about was, me time, Chris time, right? So I have a day planner and I map everything out. And on there, I'll say, take out the trash, collect the garbage, roast some coffee, make myself a sandwich, take something out of the refrigerator an hour before dinner so it gets down to room temp. That's things that are on my list, because if I don't block it out, then I'm not going to do it. And you got to treat yourself just like you would any client, right? If we knew we had this show, we knew we were getting on at 11:55 a.m. this morning. I blocked out from 11:55 to 12:45. Well, why can't I block out from 12:45 to 1 to eat a sandwich for me, or have a beverage, or call my mom, or something like? So you got to do it, right? And one of the things you also said is, don't wait till it gets bad, right? Go see your doctor once a year. Go see your dentist once or twice a year. I wear contact lenses. I got to go see the eye doctor once a year. How many times did we push that off, right? I called my doctor's office. I'm like, I know I'm due for, a follow-up, but I've got this script for, my cholesterol. Can you call in another 90 days and I'll make it? And they'll be like, no, we won't. We'll call in 30 days, but that's it. Great, I'll take it. But why should I have to be forced, right? I should say, I'm coming in to see you, doc. Let's go.
It's hard. It's just, everything compounds so quick. It's just all those little decisions don't become little decisions or stay little decisions. They become big decisions and habits over time. And I fight it all the time with personal life stuff. I got probably shouldn't be saying it here, but I got the speeding ticket for driving through the red light camera. And I knew as soon as it flashed, I got the bill and I waited. I literally knew the date was going to be paid. And I waited like 2 or 3 days after. Probably had a pop up on my calendar. It was one of those things where it was like, had the money to pay for it, was just mad at myself for doing it. And here I am being like, okay, Chris, you're an adult, you run your own business, and you can't pay a speeding or a red light ticket in enough time. So you catch yourselves. Unfortunately, mine cost me another $18 or whatever it was, but you learn and you live.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And now, look, I learned like that. I've got a paralegal and she helps me out. She's been working with me for years and years and years. And there were times where the deadline, it was popping up where, something is due tomorrow. And I would go, holy cow, I completely lost track of it. Yes, it popped up, but I got 1 day to get something done that it should have taken a week. And that's on me, right? That's my bad. That's the automatic pop-up. So now I have a system where, and she automates this and does it all. It gets entered into the calendar 1 week, 1 day, and due date. So I get something a week out, and depending on, what it is, every once in a while I'll say, also give me a 2-week or a 10-day or something like that. But know how you work, right? I sit there and every Friday I plan for the next week, and every Sunday I make sure that nothing has changed. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days later, because that's how my brain works. Little things, right? But that might not work for you. For you, it might be, I don't want it 5 days out. I want it 12 hours out. Okay. So there's nothing wrong. Does it work for you? Yeah. Okay. Then who cares? So we're getting close to the end. But one of the things that you talked about was audio and books and reading and all of that kind of stuff. So I know you and I both read a book or a couple of books from the same author. Mine was, it had to do with why. I forgot the name of it. But yours was that Leaders Eat Last. Mm-hmm. Do you remember who the author was? I forgot. Start with Why.
Yeah.
Start with Why was the book that I was reading.
Oh, Start with Why.
No, that's what it is. Start with Why, and it's the same author as Leaders Eat Last.
Yeah, Simon Sinek.
Yep, Simon Sinek. So, what are you currently either reading or listening to, and what would you recommend for as a book that not Hamilton changed your life, but that you got a lot out of?
Yeah, I just finished, I don't know if it's just finished, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, The One Thing by Gary Keller. It's a pretty popular one out there, but it really focuses on just mastering getting something done. Like, I felt like I'm a high performer, but I couldn't get simple things done in life. And he broke down your 3 most important tasks for the day. Make one, if you're a spiritual person, spiritual. Make one about your family, and make one about your health and fitness. And just every single day, get those 3 things done before work starts. 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., 7:30 to 8 a.m., whatever your time bucket is, get them done. And then have 3 things for work that you need to get done that day. And if every single day you get 6 things done for a 5-day work week, you're at 60 different, right? What's math here? Yeah. 60 different things that you can get done. And who cares if you don't get all 60 done? Maybe you get 55 done for that week. But if you sit down on a Friday night and say, I did 55 extra things this week that I didn't do last week, it builds up quick and it gets you motivated. It gets you in the habit of success. So maybe it'll work for you. Maybe it won't work, but I enjoyed the read. It definitely gave me another little trick to trick myself into being what I want it to be or get back on track.
Yeah, and look, I use New Year's to reset, right? Most people have New Year's resolutions. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out. Look, I knew myself, right? So I came up with 2 small things, right? I brush my teeth every day, but I never floss. So for 2025 or 23 days in, I have flossed every single day, something small. I also have these sitting here at my desk. This one happens to be empty because I drank it. And I have 2 of these sitting here. And they're both filled with water. And I'm allowed my Celsius for breakfast. And then as I want more beverages throughout the course of the day, Coke Zero and Red Bull, whatever it is, I'm not allowed to have it until I've drank those waters. Well, guess what? Now I'm finding myself drinking those waters 3-4 times a day because I'm just doing it. And they're there. They happen to be. So water up, teeth being flossed. And, I'm going to have the mindset that the next time I'm going to a thing, I'm showing up with my A game or I'm not showing up at all. So
yeah, I love it. I always found this quote, I think I was in 7th or 8th grade, and it was, I may not do many great things in life, but I'll do many small things in great ways. And when you go 20,000 feet overview, think about it a little bit, and you can work yourself into really anything you want. And just things like those, that's how you do it every year, every day.
And look, that's also, the whole thing about, New Year's resolutions and all of this. Look, people are the most giving and the most generous around Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? And they give gifts and they do toy drives and they do all this. Well, why can't you just do something little every single day? So you could have 365 days worth of little things as opposed to 2 or 3 days or even a week of big things. They add up. And you're going to feel great doing something good for everybody or somebody else every single day. And to quote Mark Noodleberg, Steve Noodleberg, the On the Ball guys, you, me, Gabe, everybody else, we all say it all the time. Strive for 1% better every single day. And if you could do that, and you can honestly feel that you strived for that 1% better every day, you will be happy. You may not get it every day, but strive for it and you'll see. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, with that, I will rest for today. I want to thank Chris for being here. Check out the company that he's affiliated with called ShiptQuick, ShiptQuick, or CK?
CK.
CK, ShiptQuick. Chris Cousins. Find him on LinkedIn. Find him on Instagram. Find him wherever it is. LinkedIn.com, and it's ccousins01. Find him there. Reach out to him. Say hello. Have stuff you need him to help you source and get out there. He's the guy. And you got some interesting projects. Bring Chris in. And, of course, you need legal, so I'm there too. So, Chris, thanks for being here. Can't wait to have you on the show again in a couple of months. And stay warm and dry, and go Gators.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.